Welcome to Lesson 11. For this lesson, we will be creating a simple star or sun object. Okay, it will look something like this when we get finished. Okay, you should go ahead and create these objects along with me in lessons 11 through 15 and save these to your disk so that you can review them as you need to. You will not need to submit these for a grade, however. Okay, for this object, we're going to start with two simple objects. One will be the star and one will be a circle. Start with my circle, and remember, for a circle you hold down the shift key and a multi-pointed star. Remember, when you're doing a star, if you want it more or less points, you can use the up and down arrow button. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and color these objects as I want. Alright, for this object I'm going to make it a blue color, and I'm going to give the stroke and the fill the same color. And for the circle I'm going to give it a yellow. And these colors are going to change anyway, so and then I'm going to stack these objects. Right now the arrangement is wrong. I want to have the circle on top of the star to get the effect that I want. Okay. And I'm going to go in here I need to make this a little bit larger for what I want to do. Holding down the shift key again. Okay. Going to get that placement the way I like it. Alright, once you're satisfied with that, use your regular selection tool and select both of your objects. And I'm going to go down to the Pathfinder palette, and if you don't have this open, go to Window and Pathfinder. Okay, and the Pathfinder tab is the bottom one. And under Pathfinders, I'm going to go to this first one, which is called Divide, and I'm going to connect click on that, click on that, and it will select both of these objects and divide them according to all these points. So it's now created a separate object out of each one of these objects. Okay, in order to be able to work with those and edit and recolor, I'm going to ungroup those. Going to ungroup, and that will now allow me to select individual pieces and do with them as I wish. I'm going to start by taking this center area and deleting it. Okay, I don't need that one. I'm also going to take a number of these and delete those as well. And remember, holding down the shift key as you select these objects will allow you to select more than one object. I'm just going to delete those just to simplify the design a bit. Okay, at this stage I'm going to decide on my colors. I'm going to select these three and make them a yellow. Yellow stroke, yellow fill. Oops. Give these an orange stroke, orange fill. Red stroke, red fill. And the center one. Alright, so I've created my objects. I'm just recoloring, that's all I'm doing, selecting and recoloring. And this is all done with the regular selection tool. A little bit different than my original. May or may not like this better, I'll have to play with it. And then once I'm satisfied with this, I want to select all of this object. I'm going to move this one out of the way. I'm going to select all of these objects. I'm going to group them together. I'm going to use Apple G. You can also go up to Object and Group. And then to create the shadow, I go under Effect, Stylize, and Drop Shadow. If you click on Preview, you'll have a look at what this is going to look like. And you can make adjustments in here as you need to. Do remember on shadows and on a number of things that have a blur option, you do want to make sure that you check the size of your blur. This is 0.07 inches. It's a very small space that it blurs within. A lot of people will forget just how small this needs to be, and they'll try to go up to, say, 1 inch, which is pretty high. And if you were to click on a 1 inch blur, you'll see that it doesn't look like there's a shadow on there at all. Okay, you just see a vague kind of darkening of this area. But what makes it confusing is that people will try to select on the object and not realize that the blur actually extends out. So even in this area, I'm still selecting my object because the blur is expanded. So they may think that they have to click here on their object, and they're trying to unselect their object, and they'll come out here and they won't understand why it keeps being selected. And it's usually because the blur has been expanded too high. So I'm going to undo that. It does take a few minutes to go through the processing for these. Okay. I'm going to go back to my Stylize and Drop Shadow again. And I'm going to adjust this back down to 0.07. Or, you can adjust that as you need, but the 0.07 is the default. I'm going to click OK, and it will give me the basic shadow. Okay. It's a very simple kind of star, kind of sun logo type thing. It could potentially be worked into a logo. It's a little too complex for a basic logo right now, but it could be simplified down to make something kind of interesting as well. Alright, that is the end of Lesson 11.